The first step of the G protein receptor system is reception, which is the binding between the signal molecule and the receptor. Then it goes through the process of transduction. There is an inactive G protein that is connected to the receptor that contains GDP, which has 2 phosphates. An ATP makes the G protein active and changes it to GTP, which has 3 phosphates. Then the G protein disconnects from the receptor and moves over to an inactive enzyme. Then, when it connects to the enzyme, it becomes active, and this is considered adenylyl cyclase. This all leads to a cellular response. The signal molecule then leaves the receptor, and the G protein detaches from the enzyme. This then changes the GTP to GDP and releases a phosphate. In the tyrosine kinase receptor system, there are 2 receptors with tyrosines attached to them. There are 2 ligand binding sites that are present outside of the cell membrane. 2 signaling molecules come and bind to the receptor proteins, which cause them to come together and create a dimer. After this, 6 ATP then turn into ADP, which causes the release of 6 phosphates. Then the 6 phosphates are added to the 6 tyrosines. From here, inactive relay proteins become active when they are attached to the phosphates on the receptor. This then creates multiple cellular responses. The beginning steps for the normal signaling pathway for pertussis disease starts with the signaling molecule connecting to the receptor. An inactive G protein with GDP then connects to the receptor. ATP changes the GDP to GTP, activating the G protein. The G protein then moves over to an inactive enzyme, and once it attaches, it creates an active enzyme. This then leads to a cellular response. Pertussis, or whooping cough, is a contagious infection that affects the nose and throat. First, as the signaling molecule enters the G protein-linked receptor, a pertussis toxin enters the cell through endocytosis. The pertussis toxin then binds to the G protein-linked receptor. This blocks the G protein from binding to the receptor, and because of this, the G protein is unable to become activated. Thus, the proper cellular response cannot be created. Symptoms that are associated with this disease are severe coughing, congestion, sneezing, fever, fatigue, and vomiting. A treatment for this disease is antibiotics, and an example is erythromycin. This disease can be prevented with DPT vaccine.